Today I'm going to share with you how to actually achieve what you want. Have you ever found that, when you set a goal or you start working towards something, you don't really feel like you're making a lot of progress all the time, or like it just never feels like you're getting there, and it feels like your goals are just like these abstract things that you're working towards, but it never really seems like you make any progress? That can be so frustrating, but I am going to tell you what the number one stumbling block is and how to correct that. So thanks so much for tuning in today. My name is Vanessa Shears. I'm a life coach. My job is to basically make all of this super clear, systematized, and simple so that you can get from where you are now to where you want to be. So we're talking about specifically how to remove that stumbling block and achieve anything you want. This is the most common thing I see when I start with any new client. And what I always love to do is say, hey, after the next, 3 months, 6 months of working together, what would you be ecstatic if you could achieve it by then? So I'm basically saying, what do you want? What are you working towards? What's lighting you up? What's creating that drive and that passion in you? What result and outcome do you want in your life that you're not getting right now? And this is where we do the goal setting, right? And if you aren't doing this already, this is one of those things I suggest you start doing right away, is setting clear outcomes for yourself. Now, this part seems relatively easy, and I can probably bet if you're watching a video like this, you've probably set goals like this for yourself before. Maybe you want to start working out more, or you want to eat better, or all of these other things that we like to achieve. Now, I always send out a questionnaire specifically with that question on it, like what 3 things would you be ecstatic to achieve in the next 3 or 6 months together? And it is the quality of the answers that I get back that single-handedly determine where our work is. Now, these are the types of things that I often get back as answers. Well, I want to lose weight. I want to eat better. I'd be happy if I had a better relationship with myself. I want to work out more. I want to have more confidence. These are the kind of goals we get, right? But here is where we stumble. These goals have no way of us telling whether or not we're actually achieving them or not. So here's one of the first things I say when I jump on a call with a client. I say, hey, look at your goal right now. I know what you want because we've talked about it. You know what you want because it's kind of in your head. But what I want you to be able to say is, when you look at your goals, I want them to be so dang specific about where you are and where you're going that a stranger could pick up your goal on a piece of paper, look at where you started, look what you're doing now, and say, yep, she's doing it. Yep, she's definitely made progress, or no, she hasn't. Because when you come in and you have a goal of like, I want to work out more, what the heck does that even mean? Where are you starting? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 examples of goals that I have specifically worked with on clients and how we've developed them into something that is super specific. And I want to be able to tell, hey, in 4 weeks from now, I need to be able to tell, are you further along than you were 4 weeks ago? Because if not, we need to change strategy. We often set these goals that are so abstract and like floofy with no qualifying parameters on them, and we don't know if we're actually making any progress on them. So one of the goals that I had come in the last couple of months on one of those questionnaires was, I want to lose weight. And I'm going to start with this one because this is one that we can conceptually wrap our mind around because it's a nice, easy one. So the first thing I always like to go, okay, well, where are you now? Like, how much do you weigh right now? So we have to develop a way of understanding where the starting point is. And the starting point might be 200 pounds, all right? What is the end goal? Well, the end goal is 150 pounds. Okay, great. So what can happen in 4 weeks from now is we could say, hey, what does the scale say? And if you tell me, oh, we're at 190, great. I can tell you have made progress, and what we are doing is effectively working to have had you lost 10 pounds. We keep up with that. But if we go, oh, it's been 4 weeks and I'm at 199, or I'm even at 200, we know we have to change strategy. But if we weren't very clear on where we were starting and where we were going, we actually don't know if any progress has been made. Now, I started with that example because it is a really easy one to understand. There are concrete numbers tied to it. But then you get goals like this, and I love this one. I had a client come in recently, and one of her goals was she wanted to stop caring about what other people think of her. That's an amazing goal, because that is something that will allow you to feel confident and allow you to feel like you are in charge of your own decisions. But this one, we have trouble quantifying. So here is what I like to start doing. Okay, So you want to start caring less about what other people think. Their opinions don't have as much of an impact on you. So where are you now? What type of decisions are you caring that other people think about? What specific categories? Is it about how you eat? Is it about how you look? Is it about the clothes you wear? What exactly is triggering this thought that I don't want to keep caring what other people think, but right now I really do? What is causing you to care about what other people think? All right? So I want you to give me detailed lists of examples of situations, thoughts you have, how you're feeling right now. I even like to think of like, if you create the idea of like, I don't care about what other people think about me, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, I revolve my life around what people care about me, and 10 is I don't care at all, where are you now on that scale? Are you a 2? Are you a 4? Where are you now so that we can subjectively come back and answer that? Then what I like to do is, okay, the idea of stop caring what other people think about me is great, but how can a stranger come and pick that up and tell if you actually care or you don't? Like, what are you giving them to measure? So with this particular goal, we had talked about, okay, what are you going to be doing differently? And one of her great answers was, well, I'm going to make decisions quickly because I won't have to play out all the scenarios about what other people are thinking of me and what I might do. So maybe decisions are made faster. I trust my own judgment. Things feel good. I don't question myself. I feel like I have confidence in the situation. I wear what I want because I feel good in it. I think about my opinion first. So what you start to do when we have these goals that aren't directly always tied to numbers and stats and stuff like that, I need you to tell me how you will be acting differently, what will feel differently. How can we tell, okay, I'm doing more of this than I was before? Because right now I take maybe a week to make a decision on something because I'm worried about the outcome and all this, whereas now I can make a decision in 2 days. That is progress. So this is where we start to measure. Another example of a goal is I had a client come in and say she wanted a better relationship with food. Again, great goal. What the heck does that mean? What is your relationship with food now? And she would tell me like, well, I just don't feel like I have enough control. I feel like, I start eating and then I can't stop. Or, I give myself stomach aches, or I end up bloated, or I'm going crazy on these foods, or stuff like that. Like, I don't feel like I trust my choices. I make a plan and don't follow it. This is where I am now. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm sitting at a 2. I want to be at a 10. Then, what does a 10 look like? Well, a 10 looks like I'm able to prioritize long-term health and well-being over instant gratification. I am able to say yes to myself and no to food. I don't feel pressured to take food from others. I feel that I eat until I'm satisfied and no more. I don't overeat to the point where I'm sick. These are all things that fall under what a better relationship with food looks like. Maybe it's that I enjoy treats in moderation, or I trust my ability to enjoy a treat and stop when I'm full. These are very specific things that we need to know because I need to be able to look and clearly see, hey, where are you on this journey right now? So we need to take a look. When you write out your goals next time, I want you to pedal back. I want you to have a look at them, and I want you to say, okay, hey, where am I now? Where am I going to want to be? Is my goal vague? Am I saying I want things to be better or more or just some concept that you cannot measure? Because even though you're right, there's no number or qualitative measurement tied to a goal of I want a better relationship with food or I want to stop caring about what other people think, we can get way more specific. Because if you say to me I want a better relationship with food, how do you work on that? What are the action steps that need to happen? Maybe it needs to be, I need to discover a way to stay disciplined. I need to set up a morning routine so my lunches are prepared ahead of time so that I'm set up for success at lunch, so I'm not pawing around the dessert tables at work and grabbing donuts all the time. I need to have specific action steps, and I need you to know what you're aiming for. So if you say you want a better relationship with food, and that means you want the ability to plan cheat meals ahead of time instead of indulging them based on emotions, that is specific. We go to work and start practicing what it looks like in the moment to say no when it's an emotional decision and yes when it's a planned decision. Do you see how quantifying that all of a sudden allowed us to know where to steer the boat, where to steer. We know what to head for. We know, in your definition, when you are talking about what it feels like to have a good relationship with food, it's aligned with what you think is a good relationship with food. So when you are achieving all of those criteria, I have patience, I don't react impulsively, I make choices for my long-term health and well-being, I plan my treats in advance. You know that based on your experience with your life, this is what your definition of having a better relationship with food feels like. So you will know when you are there, because if you just tell me better, I don't know what better means. You don't even know what better means. We have to get much more specific with that. I'm going to round out on one last note. One other mistake that I see when we're setting ourselves up, because we want to know if we're actually achieving these goals, right? I often find when I start with clients that they have the habit of telling me, they are really good at telling me what they don't want. So when they'll set their goals, they'll be like, well, I don't want to keep overeating after dinner. I don't want to keep skipping my workouts. I don't want to, stay on my phone for 3 hours every day. I don't want to care so much about other people think about me. I want all this. And they are so specific and clear at saying, here's what I don't want, but in the same breath have no idea what they want. And I always say, stop telling me what you don't want. It's not helping you, it's not serving you, because by focusing on what you don't want, all you do is push against and rebel against more of what you don't want. I want you to tell me what you do want to feel like. How do you want to think about yourself? What do you want your relationship with your body, your mind, your food, your significant other? What does that look like when it's amazing? Because the reason we have these issues that we're always pushing against is because you're like, well, I don't like that. That feels terrible. I don't want that. And then you're over here trying to make it into something you do want, but you have no idea. You don't even know. So if you're saying, I don't want to have a negative relationship with my spouse, what does a positive relationship look like? What does that look like? How are you acting? How do you feel when you see them? How do you think about yourself in the relationship? How do you think about them in the relationship? If you were at a 10, what would you want to feel like? I don't want to hear what you don't want to feel like. So the big takeaways for today is I want your goals, number one, to be about what you do want for your life, not what you want less of, and not what you don't want. And the other thing I want you to take away is that when you set a goal, it needs to be specific. But beyond that, I need you to identify very clearly where you're starting and where you're going, what you're thinking, feeling, acting, how you're showing up, who you are, the thoughts you have about yourself, the beliefs you have about yourself. Who are you then? And then we go to work to show up as that future you, as that future her, that no problem, I didn't plan to have all this pizza tonight. You know what? But I did plan a treat on the weekend, and I'm going to enjoy that, because that feeling of well-being is so much better than just this temporary state change, because there's always that negative consequence on the back end when we're after that immediate gratification. That is what happens. You figure out who you want to be, and then you go show up as her. And that is how you set specific goals. And that's how you know if you're achieving them. I want to see who you are now, who you want to be. I want you to paint that before and after process for me. That picture of who you are now, who you want to be, and I want to be able to measure you up against where you are in here so we can take specific, planned action towards it. And that is, oh my gosh, the work that is so much fun to do. And I would love for you to do that with yourself. If you want to do it with me, send me a message. We can work together. This is my jam, and I help clients get all the results they want. If you have a question about this, do leave it in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up if you like this, so that I know that this is the type of content that is helping you get specific and actionable. I'm just going to share this before I jump off. I heard a quote this morning in a spin class that I was taking. I'm a big fan of the app, the Peloton app. And I, go to the gym, get on my spin bike, and I do it. And the teacher this morning, he said during one of the Tabata intervals, and if you know what Tabata is, you need all the motivation you can get. It's like all out sprints for 20 seconds and then rest for 10, a whole bunch of times in a row. And he said, this is your moment of discipline. This is where you get to show up and be disciplined today. So maybe that looks like taking action on something you just learned. Maybe that means actually, sitting down for 10 minutes today and saying, what do I actually want out of my life? Not what am I running away from, what do I want? So if this is your moment of discipline, right now, in the next 10 minutes, in the next hour, what are you going to do with it? I challenge you to show up for yourself. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.